Welcome to the video guide for Iblis Surging Cascade, Expert, the fourth of the Rise of the Sinister Dominion series of boss fights released as part of patch 2.11.0 of Dragalia Lost. Iblis seems somewhat middle of the road in terms of fight complexity, though there are a few mechanics that will prove tricky to pass through unscathed until you become more accustomed to the fight. As always, my name is Zenizilus, and let's get straight to it. Much like the rest of the Sinister Dominion fights, Expert Iblis starts with the base angel form before progressing to the demon phase. Iblis's unique abilities revolve around changing his affliction resistances and temporary invincibility windows that require dispels. I'll cover those in more detail once we reach those mechanics. As always, we see the Sinister Dominion staples of Creeping Corrosion, a damage over time effect that's nullified by healing, and Curse of Nihility, nullifying the effects of buffs on adventurers and preventing certain buffs from being applied for its duration. Creeping Corrosion is fairly strong in this set of fights, so be sure to bring enough healing. As with other endgame fights, certain mechanics and attacks will be skipped or repeated based on phase progression and remaining hit points. Iblis begins the fight as Fallen Uriel. There's the typical slow purple and red telegraphed attacks. The first substantial mechanic is when Iblis casts Inescapable Cascade. Iblis summons 4 cursed water bubbles firing out a series of red cone AoEs. Destroy these bubbles, as leaving any of them up and blindly beating on Fallen Uriel will trigger an arena-wide purple AoE that deals increased damage with the number of bubbles remaining. It's mostly survivable if you're at full health, but best to try and do this correctly. There's actually not much else to note in the first phase. There will be the occasional strength and defense buffs on the boss which you'll want to dispel, however. As always, mechanics will repeat until you clear the first phase. As always, phase 2 starts with Iblis transforming into something a bit more snazzy. After transforming, Iblis will sing a random ballad. The options here are the Ballad of Heaven and Ballad of Hell. When the Ballad of Heaven is active, Iblis will only be vulnerable to poison, and for Hell, Stormlash. There's also a counter present on the icon below the boss's hit point bar. This counts down whenever you afflict Iblis with the appropriate affliction. It's not terribly relevant in the expert fight, but be aware of it if you plan on tackling Master. As HP breakpoints are met throughout the fight, Iblis will change ballads by casting Melodic Shift. After a series of red and purple circle telegraphs, Iblis casts Tidal Fantasia. Iblis will transform into a bat in the top right of the arena, as well as summoning a set of 5 other identical bats. After swapping position a few times, a room-wide purple AoE will begin to cast. Track Iblis's bat during the swaps and destroy it once they come to a stop. Failing to destroy this bat before the telegraph resolves will lead to a wipe. The next major mechanic is Meticulous Cantata. Watch Iblis's telegraphs. He can fire out cones or larger wedges both in front and behind him. The bats will copy his telegraphs, firing towards or away from the middle of the arena. Get behind bats with the wedges and avoid the bats' positions during cones. Learn this mechanic well. While mistakes in Expert are survivable, Master adds some complexity and lethality. After this is Swelling Concerto. This is just a large chaser. In co-op this will target all players, so spread accordingly. This also inflicts frostbite. While not too problematic, it'll lock you out of transforming, which can be an issue if not is you're a new Stormlasher for example. This is followed by a large ring AoE with a safe spot under the boss. This is followed by Sweeping Symphony. Bats will line the upper right edge of the arena, firing a series of alternating red and purple line telegraphs. Dodge and iframe the reds as appropriate. After this is Dissonant Aria. Iblis activates his final ability and buffs himself, granting him damage reflection as well as locking the affliction counters on his ballad mechanic. Dispel the associated buff to remove this. After this, you'll see Stalking Shadow, spawning a pair of whirlpools as well as a tracking bat. Lead the bat into the whirlpool to destroy it, as it'll kill you if it reaches you. This can be followed by Piercing Oratorio. 3 bats will spawn around the outer edge of the arena, firing off a series of purple cones. The best way to avoid this is to approach the first telegraph as it forms, then move into it after it resolves. Stay out of the middle of the arena during this, unless you've broken Iblis's cloak, after which these cones will be red. Note that you can't pass through the bats during this mechanic, so trying to dodge through them will result in tears. Following this is Whirlpool Rondo. 2 bats will spawn in line with Iblis, and 3 sets of growing purple ring AoEs will occur in series. Breaking the cloak will turn the outer rings red, making aggressive uptime slightly easier. Simply stand in the gaps, noting that melee range under Iblis is only safe during the second set of rings. Dodge accordingly. Finally, the last unique mechanic is Damning Prelude, summoning a series of 3 bat ads and a countdown above the boss. Kill the bats before this finishes or you'll wipe, as the boss is invulnerable during this mechanic. After that, you've seen most of the troublesome mechanics. The only issues left are that there's a bit of randomness in Tidal Fantasia and Meticulous Cantata, so you'll have to learn to follow the various patterns. Breaking the cloak doesn't afflict the boss with any debuffs like it does in Asura, but it does change some telegraphs from purple to red, enabling some more aggressive play. Common problem points I foresee are, again, the Tidal Fantasia and Meticulous Cantata mechanics, due to their patterns and requiring you to pay attention. While I'm sure most people watching this guide are amenable to learning, that might not always be the case with players you randomly match with. Regarding team compositions, the Ballad mechanics encourage bringing both Poison and Stormlash capable adventurers, though it's not a huge deal for Expert. Expert is fairly lax, and you'll get by so long as you bring a source of Dispel. There's no particular healer that's super preferred due to the fight mechanics. So long as you can bring a decent amount of healing to counteract the corrosion and frostbite damage, you'll do fine, as long as your teammates aren't eating all the attacks. If you have further questions, feel free to leave a comment or pop by my Twitch streams. As always, take it easy, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.